There were two ladies who had been best of friends for about 5 years. They go by the names Martha and Marilyn. They met in their secondary school and there were initially 4 in the group. After they finished their secondary school, Martha really wished to keep the friendship with the other 3 ladies. Unfortunately, only Marilyn gave her back the energy. Other students called until she called. When she confronted them, they lamented about how hectic their tertiary education was. Marilyn, on the other hand, would call her, chat with her online, and do video calls with her. Martha loved this and made Marilyn her best friend. After their tertiary education, fate brought them together again as they were posted to the same location for their youth service. They were so happy that they would now get to see each other in person. They rented an apartment together. They went for occasions together, they went for conferences together, they cooked together, and so on. It was such a perfect friendship. Soon, Marilyn developed a habit of gossiping their former friends and schoolmates to Martha. She said she followed them on social media and always had no good thing to say about them. She described Lois, one of them, as a whore due to her nice internet aesthetics. Martha would smile and tell her gently to face her life and stop keeping tabs on them. Marilyn would get angry at her for not expressing disgust for their former friends. After all, Martha once lamented to her about how they didn't encourage the friendship she wanted to build with them. Martha tried to explain that wasn't enough reason for her to hate them, but Marilyn would have none of it. Martha allowed the matter die a natural death by changing the topic. One day, Marilyn came back home looking angry. On seeing her growl, Martha, who had just finished eating, walked up to her, touched her, and asked her why she looked angry. Marilyn responded that she saw Louis, one of their old friends, in town when she went for shopping. She said she came in a jeep. Marilyn narrated that she went to greet her as an old friend, but rather than acknowledging her, she snubbed her, got into her car, and drove off. Marilyn lamented how embarrassed she was, with tears in her eyes. Martha was livid. She ate to see Marilyn cry. She hugged her and promised never to have Lewis in her good books. Marilyn was happy. On Thursday, Martha went for her CDS. On her way back home, she had an accident. While writhing in pain on the ground, she picked her phone and put a call across to Marilyn to tell her of her predicament. Marilyn answered that she would be there in a very uninterested tone. Soon, a crowd gathered. None of them made the move to take her to the hospital. As they stood there, analyzing the accident, Martha was in so much pain. She begged to be taken to the hospital, but the audience were busy taking coverage of her on the ground. Suddenly, a lady rushed in. She bent down with expressions of care on her face. She touched Martha calmly and assured her all will be well. Martha forced her eyes open and saw a familiar face towering over her with a posture that depicted protection. It was Louis. Before she could call her name, she passed out. 5 hours later, Martha woke up on the hospital bed. She found a lady sitting beside her with her head rested on the bedside. She called the name Marilyn and she thought it must be her. The lady raised her head, and once again, Martha confirmed it was Louis, her old school friend. Martha expressed shock. Louis smiled, calmed her down, and explained how she brought her to the hospital. Martha was grateful. She asked if Marilyn had called her phone since then, but on checking her phone, no call came in from Marilyn. She was discharged the next day. She was taken home by Louis in her car. On entering the room, Marilyn was seated before the TV, watching an entertaining show. Martha screamed her name and expressed her disappointment in her friend, who didn't care if she survived or died. She reevaluated her friendship with Marilyn and decided to cut her off. She got to know Louis had a purer heart than Marilyn, who pretended to be a friend.